random questions that came up off the top of my head. But yeah, what would you do during a zombie apocalypse? Go ahead, Slate.
So during a zombie apocalypse, realistically, I would die. I'm not prepared at all. But in my head, how I'd imagine it would go down is as soon as I catch word, barricade the doors, completely fortify my house, gather up my dogs, somehow instantaneously train them to be guard dogs, even though they jump and hug everyone, so that it'd be a horrible time for them. And so, in reality, they'd be put far away. I would procure a large assortment of defense systems just from Amazon instantly, because of course they wouldn't be affected at all by the zombie apocalypse. And I just have a simple fire system just around my entire house. It's on fire at all times. If my house is on fire, the zombies can't come in, and I'm safe. Thank you.
Very ingenious, Slate. I like the thinking outside the box with whole fire and your house being burnt, like on fire. Like the idea. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was the last question. So I don't know how many before. But yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you, Sourin. I just want to check before we go into voting. Tori, were all speakers in time?
Yes, except one of Slate's was off by like 10, like the last one was by like 10 seconds, but the other one was in time.
Okay. So I will just go ahead and let's see here. Okay, so just in the chat, I posted everyone like what they talked about for their table topics. If you can go ahead and send in your votes for that, indicating who you, I think for this case, choosing the person rather than like person and topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, choosing the person that you go choose for first place and second place, as it does come into play for voting. And also, if you have any feedback for Sourin as our table topics master for today, you can go ahead and send that as well. And we'll just take around 30, 45 seconds. I keep thinking back while we're waiting for more votes to come in to the stealing the, what would you steal one thing? I saw on a TV show like you could shrink things. Or no, it was an Ant-Man, that like machine that you can like shrink entire buildings. If you had that machine, you could like go ahead and, like for example, if you're really desperate and you're in a zombie apocalypse, shrink down an entire Costco. And then when you're somewhere remote, make it big again, and you can just go ahead and grab the supplies that you need or distribute it however you want. I kept thinking about the question and just reminded me of that movie.
Actually, not a bad idea.
But we'll go ahead and now transition into the third section of our meeting, which are our evaluations for the meeting. But to explain that section more and to lead us in this section is Tori Passalacqua. Please welcome to the stage, Tori.
Hello. Okay, so I am general evaluator, and also I will be evaluating one of the speeches today. I'll be evaluating Scott's. Are we doing Scott's first and then general evaluation, correct?
Yes, I think you can go ahead, since Slate was the first speaker, introduce me first, okay, and then go into your evaluation of Scott, and from there, yeah.
Cool. So pretty much general evaluator evaluates the whole thing, and then we're gonna have our first evaluator for Slate's speech, Tricia. So welcome, Tricia, to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Tori. Slate, great job on your speech. I feel like I've been waiting for a while to just give you to hear you give a speech. Normally, I hear you in different roles, which is also a good way to kind of get a feel for someone's speaking style. But I think when it comes to a prepared speech, that's where someone can really shine, as there is that kind of prep time. And especially with the title and the subject matter of your speech, you talked about your experience, so that made what you talked about even more fun, even more personable to who you are as a person and as a speaker. Some things that I really admired throughout your speech, even though we're in this virtual setting, you still took the time, or whether consciously or unconsciously, you demonstrated with your hands, different gestures, like for example, how to snowboard and like the different snowboarding maneuvers, like you use your hands to kind of indicate like turning left, turning right, how kind of that placement, which for me, having no experience with snowboarding at all, it helped me kind of get that visual on what it means to snowboard and really brought more to your story and adding those small details, especially when talking about your own experience and kind of talking about it from the past. Some other really great things that you did in your speech, your vocal variety when it came time to like, they were like, when you're talking about your first day, you were like, the number one rule is always, always. You had that emphasis there and that repetition too. So that kind of catches the audience's attention, like, okay, if this is like one thing to know about snoring, it's this always, always make sure to follow properly. And that was, your vocal variety was similarly repeated when like this, when you're talking about on the second day of your trip, like, and to make matters worse, or, and this experience was horrible because it was so cold outside. That really stressed kind of where you kind of experience like those obstacles on your trip. Some things that you may want to work on, as it is a story, you kind of have that tendency to use some leading words. For I think the one that you really kind of just used as a clutch was and then, and then, which is good for a transition at times, but there was a particular moment in your speech, you were talking about your second trip, and you said, and then the last day came. I feel like that phrase or that part of your speech could have had more emphasis if you hadn't relied on saying and then earlier in your speech, so that when it came time to that moment, it's like, and then the last day came. Since you're using that transition phrase sparingly, it would bring more emphasis on what would be happening or what you would talk about on that last day, what went wrong. So kind of just to work on that, I guess, there were some moments where you had pauses and kind of stopped, reset yourself, and then moved on to the next sentence. Working on that maybe more consciously, either from practicing a little bit more, or when you kind of feel yourself starting like going into like kind of running into a snowball of just saying all these things in a row, kind of giving a pause here and then and think like what is the main idea that you want to capture. That's what I have for you, for kind of something to challenge yourself next time, to kind of limit yourself from relying on that clutch. But overall, I really enjoy getting to hear your experience with snowboarding and hearing you finally give a speech. And I really just look forward to hearing your next one. Thank you.
Tricia?
Awesome. Thank you, Tricia, for that evaluation. So I will go ahead and move on to our second speaker, Scott, and just give a little brief evaluation on his stuff as well. So Scott, I thought that your topic today, or your presentation, was really intriguing just because it's so relevant right now in everything that's going on and the craziness that we are experiencing. It's also really interesting to see your like viewpoint on the office situation. Like you put it into like new perspective and like challenges that are going to be like, or not challenges, changes that are going to be happening. The only thing I would say that I saw was, it's kind of hard to say online, but I would say that gestures, I didn't see like a lot of hand movement, but I also don't know if it was like down here, you know, and it was like happening, but, and then also like vocal variety, I would say maybe use different tones to explain different things. So maybe emphasize one point when you're talking about a change in your speech, like when you were saying how we're going to work at home or be remote, maybe like emphasize that with a different tone. But other than, I mean, like there were no ums, like your eye contact was amazing. Like I didn't see you like looking down a lot at all. And also you had really interesting wording and it kept the audience engaged. I was looking at the top of the screen to see if anyone was like kind of looking away, like wasn't paying attention, but they were all really interested in what you were talking about, which I thought was really great. So overall, I thought you did a fantastic job. And yeah, it's pretty much my only, work on challenges that I would say. So, but thank you for that speech. It was really awesome. And I loved hearing it.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Well, I appreciate the help, Tori. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I guess now I go to General Evaluator, which is everything. So first and foremost, I was a little bit late to the meeting, so I know that we had our little opening agenda. But when I saw it, it looked great, and there was great opening and explanations. I think everyone explained their roles really well. Tricia, you did a fantastic job with transitioning from speeches to table topics to general evaluations. And also the table topics were super interesting. I love the creative table topics. I don't know why. Like I know I love Scott's movie theme and like I loved this one. I think they're more fun and everyone gets to have like their creative side come out. So pretty much overall great job. And I think everyone was pretty much in time in table topics. And also for speeches, I think both were in time as well. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a great meeting. Fun time. Excited for the next ones. So with that, I guess I will call back to the stage Tricia to explain our next segment of the meeting.
Thank you, Tori. We'll go ahead and call on the rest of the roles. Sourin, as all counter, if you could give your report.
So for my report, most everyone, like there was very few ums, likes, and those type of filler words. So I think overall we did fine in getting our words across and not really stumbling upon them. So good for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sourin. And as a grammarian, I didn't notice anything too glaring in terms of any subject-verb agreement or any wrong grammar. Congrats to Slate for using the word of the day, especially in a prepared speech, as typically you really don't know what the word of the day is going to be. So showing that you're able to incorporate that means that like you're quick on your feet and kind of you're thinking through what you're about to say and incorporating that word. So congrats to you on that. Let me think. Yes, if you could go ahead and send in your votes for best evaluator to me so I can get those tallied up before we give awards at the end. Also, if you have any feedback for Tori as the general evaluator or for me as the Toastmaster for today, if you could send that to individually in the chat, kind of just specifying if you're either sending to Tori or to me, making sure it's our names that you're sending it to. But other than that, I really enjoyed today's meeting. Thank you everybody for being here, being committed to your roles, participating and not anticipating. So thank you. That really makes it for a fruitful meeting and so much more easier on my end. But with that, as y'all are sending in your votes and any feedback that you have, I will go ahead and introduce up to the stage Slate.
Thank you, Tricia. As Tricia just said, that concludes our meeting. We just finished our final third section, evaluations, and just want to echo what she said. Thanks for participation. We had a great meeting again. Table topics is always a blast. Just really practice. I think that's where we saw the most, if any, filler words. I think we just had the usual suspects of like. The hardest thing is just trying not to use it. Just practice. Hopefully doing this every week helps with that. And yeah, so with that, I will go ahead and toss it back to Tricia, and that concludes our meeting.
Okay, I do have the votes for today. So for best speaker, drum roll, is Scott. Congrats. Ta-da. Round of applause, round of applause. For table topics, best table topic speaker, drum roll, is Slate. Yay, round of applause, round of applause, round of applause. And then for best evaluator, it's a tie. Woo! It's been a while since we've had that, but glad to see it's still coming back. But other than that, I think that's it for me. We can go to signing up for roles next. Slate, if you'll take over for that, and I'll go ahead and make you a co-host as well, so you can share your screen if you'd like.
Thank you, Tricia. Yes, I'll pull that up. As always, we try and fill up the roles at the end of the meeting, so we make sure we are ready for the next meeting. As a reminder, of course, we're meeting every Monday, 4:30 to 6, with 30 minutes before join. All right, I've got the sheet up. Share my screen. And thank you, of course, Linda, for joining us.
Yes.
I appreciate you letting you know that you will step out. You did a great job of that. You know, you were didn't disrupt the meeting at all.
I am sorry, Scott, that I did not get to hear your speech.
Yeah, no problem, no trouble at all, miss.
While Linda is here, if anyone has any questions about what's it like with pathways, or kind of what level to start at, or how the speeches, or like getting your awards set in stone, while Linda is here, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and just ask them to her. But otherwise, we can just continue with role signups as well.
Yes, definitely. If you guys have any pathway questions, definitely ask Linda or me right now. Real quickly, yeah, I'll go ahead and we'll do role signups, then we can get back to that. So, would anyone like to be Toastmaster for Monday? Sourin, Sourin, would you like to try doing a speech next week or soon?
Yeah, I could try speech, I guess.
Okay, but yeah, if you want to be Toastmaster or speaker, I think that'd be really good next week.
Okay.
Which one would you like to do?
I guess it's been a while since I did speech, so I'll do speech.
Okay. I know you've done your icebreaker, right? You've done one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I did one a bit before, like when we first started doing meetings with
in the spring.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Sourin as speaker.
I can go ahead and be Toastmaster.
Okay, awesome, Tori. All right, and then we have table topics for next week. Would anyone like to be table topics master?
I can be GE.
Okay, awesome. Tricia will
and also an evaluator as well, since it may be limited.
Yes, we'll have that as backup and hope that hopefully, let me check the calendar here. Next Monday, today's the 25th. It is the 1st of June next Monday, if I'm looking at my, yeah, 1st of June. So hopefully Noah, who was definitely here in the spring, will be joining us again. So he could help fill some evaluator or start speaking as well. So we have backup, generate GE. Anyone else like to be table topics, do a speech, or be an evaluator? We have, so Tori's already got a role. Scott, what are you thinking for next week?
Oh, let's see. For next week, I can be what you call an evaluator for you guys, if that's right.
Okay. Yeah, that worked out great. All right. So we have Tori, Sourin. All right, I'll go ahead and put myself down for table topics. This will be my first time as table topics master. That looks good, and we'll try and fill out some other roles. We have, we'll need one more evaluator, or we'll have Tricia's back. Well, no, we only have one speaker currently, but if we find another speaker, we'd need one more. Yeah. All right, that will do for now for role signups. I'll stop sharing. Well, actually, I want to reshare, pull up the Toastmaster website for us. So yeah, so that concludes our meeting, but real quick before we